Hello, my name is Sue Barrett and I'm one of the readers at St Margaret's, Aspley. This morning we're looking at Acts chapter 28 verses 1 to 6. Once safely on shore, we found out that the island was called Malta. The islanders showed us unusual kindness. They built a fire and welcomed us all because it was raining and cold. Paul gathered a pile of brushwood and, as he put it on the fire, a viper, driven up by the heat, fastened itself onto his hand. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, "This man must be a murderer, for though he escaped from the sea, the goddess Justice has not allowed him to live." But Paul shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no ill effects. The people expected him to swell up or suddenly fall dead, but after waiting a long time and seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said he was a god. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. The thing that struck me most about these verses is how fickle people can be. The Apostle Paul had been falsely accused and arrested, put on a ship as a prisoner, just about managed to survive a shipwreck, and then get bitten on the hand by a poisonous snake when he was helping to build a fire. How much worse can it get? But Paul appears to take it all in his stride and decide not to be overly concerned about the circumstances. He and his companions had received a warm welcome when they arrived at Malta, and that was a positive start. Previously, God had given Paul the revelation that all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose, and Paul was fully convinced that this string of bad events would work together for his good, no matter what. So even when the snake sunk its venomous fangs into Paul's hand and the burning pain shot through his body, he shook it off. Now that's what I call faith. But when this warm, welcoming islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they changed their opinion of him and said to each other, "Ah, murderer, no doubt. Though he escaped the sea, justice will not permit him to live." That's a bit harsh. But Paul had already learned that people are fickle. Those who support you one day can easily judge you the next. When the islanders were calling him a murderer, did Paul get angry or show offence at the judgment and unfair criticism? No, he simply shook it off. Despite the circumstances, Paul still had the faith that all things work together for good for those who are called to God's purposes. After he shook the snake from his hand and appeared unharmed, the people were amazed, and instead of being a suspected murderer, he was now a god. This act of faith made the islanders see Paul in an entirely different way, and that helped him to minister much more powerfully. The false charges, the imprisonment, the storm, the shipwreck, the poisonous snake, they're all very bad things meant to harm or even kill Paul, but God worked all of them together for good of Paul and his ministry. In our own Christian ministry, our walk of faith, it's very unlikely that we will ever experience the things that Paul went through. For that we should be grateful. But we're quite likely, at some time or another, to experience opposition, criticism or negativity. We may even experience once friendly people turning against us and then changing their minds when they realise we weren't quite as bad as they thought. And when we do find ourselves in any or all of these situations, we should avoid a knee-jerk reaction and try our best to be like Paul. See it for what it is and move on. I guess most of us are having less contact with others at the moment, so there's less chance of confrontation or a difference of opinion. But whatever situations arrive, especially in these uncertain days, we have to try hard to stand in our faith, to live a Christian way and to do what's right. The world is in turmoil. The church uncertain as to its future, but we have to stay strong and take each day as it comes. Although sometimes it may be difficult and we can't understand what's happening, we need to shake off the doubts, keep the faith and rest in the Lord, knowing that God is faithful and that he's working on the things we find it difficult to cope with. Paul wasn't perfect. We may not all have led blameless lives. We may not always have been loving and compassionate, or giving others the benefit of the doubt, especially when their opinion or way of life didn't conform to our standard. But God even uses our shortcomings for his good, if only we let him. I believe that despite the chaos and uncertainty, something good is on its way. And when that day comes, we'll recognise the part that our faith has played in getting us through, making our walk of faith and our ministry even stronger, with God within each one of us shining through. Have a wonderful day.